I went to bed so early last night that I fell asleep during the men's final. I woke up during the presentation ceremony. Nevertheless, I went back to sleep and I woke up at a reasonable time because I was going to be on a very tight schedule today. So, my first job was to cook. I don't normally cook. It's a long story, but I don't have fond relationships with food, and no, I don't have an eating disorder. I'm just not that into food. But anyways, I cooked chicken and pasta and awaited a phone call from my mother to let me know that she was at East Croydon. So I jumped on the bus, went down to East Croydon, met her and brought her back to my sister's place to await the early visiting hour shift, which was 2 till 4. And I did a little bit of sewing, so she's never seen me working up close. So she was admiring what I was doing, and then I think she enjoyed my company slightly, because people tend to, and no, I'm not blowing my trumpet, it's just the energy that I have. People tend to like my energy. So whenever people come around me, they want to attach themselves, and I don't mean that in a derogatory kind of way. But it's a fact. So she said to me that why don't you want me to come and visit you? And I said, because I don't have visitors. It's this thing I've got where I don't like people attaching themselves to me. And no, I don't have attachment issues. It's nothing to do with that. It's to do with having different standards. So if we are not on the same level, then again, I've already explained this. I just don't like to have people around me who are not on the same path. And the majority of people, I would argue, are not on the same path as me. And again, I don't mean that in a derogatory way, it's just a matter of fact. So anyway, so she pulled the mother card, but I'm your mother. And then she said, oh, I'm going to turn up anyway, I'll come to your house anyway. And I said, you can do that, but I won't open the door. And she said, really, you wouldn't let me in? And I said, no, I wouldn't. So, it's just to reiterate that I don't make distinctions. People are people, and I deal with everybody in the same way, irrespective of who you are. So, she's 78 years old. She's a strong walker. She looks good. She's strong on her feet, which is, more power to her, respect to her and everything. So, as I said, I did a bit of work and then scheduled it so we could catch that bus down to the hospital. I dropped her off, and then I did a detour to my place to check if there was any fabric delivered, and just little basic things that I needed to grab from my flat to bring back here to my sister's place. And on the way there, mother called me to say that she was informed by the hospital that my sister's only allowed one designated visitor, namely me. See, I didn't know this, it's this coronavirus thing. So because she'd come from a long way, they were being generous to her and allowing her to stay for an hour and a half rather than just an hour, which means that instead of going back to the hospital for 4 o'clock, I needed to get back for 3:30. So it was very tight. So I literally just had time to go back to my place, run upstairs, grab what I needed to grab, and head back out the door and back to the hospital. So I escorted her back to get the train, and then I came back here to my sister's place, where I helped myself to some chicken and pasta, the first meal of the day, relaxed slightly, and then went back to the hospital for the evening visit. In between that, this morning, when I was going to meet my mother at the station, I met a guy on the bus who also wasn't wearing a mask. His name is Glory, and so we were sitting at the back just talking, and there was a newspaper on one of the seats facing us, and being the friendly sort, I'm very, very friendly. It's sort of like I'm a bit of a paradox, because in the same way that I'm friendly and I'm very sociable, I will do that outside, but my house is my sanctuary. Like, for example, I'm here at my sister's place and none of us watch TV, so it's always we walk in and it's peace, it's still, it's quiet. We just have whatever noise we want, we create it ourselves. We're not sort of addicted to the TV or the radio or anything like that. We choose when we want noise. So with the football season starting, there was the newspaper on the seat, and it was there's a headline about Spurs. And so I said to the guy, "Don't tell me Spurs lost," because it was Jose Mourinho having a slight rant on the back page. And he said, "Yeah," and he said, "Don't tell me you're a Spurs fan." I said, "No, I'm a Liverpool fan." And I said, "I've been supporting Liverpool for 43 years." And enter the conversation. So he goes, 43 years, how old are you? And a conversation happened, and we swapped numbers and so on. So I tend to meet people like that, and we can end up becoming good friends because we have things in common. So it's not a matter of me knowing someone for all of my life. Like, for example, I'm not in contact with any of my school friends. I don't keep contact with people on the basis of how long I've known them. It's just, it's what we have in common. If we don't have anything in common, it's fine, we move on. So so we had a conversation. So he was saying, "Oh, but you look so young, this, that, the other." And I think God has a sense of humor. So I always, whenever people say that to me, I say, "Guess what my surname is?" And they have a guess. No, they ask me, and I say Young. And it's like, it's very appropriate. So that's a really good conversation starter. But it's just like I said, so it doesn't matter who the individual is, you're not going to get an invite to my house. And not even if you're my mother, you're not going to get an invite, because I've set up my life in such a way and it works absolutely. So today I had a fantastic day, and I posted a short video earlier where it was the time spent with my mother today, who I have not spent any time with for more than 10 years. And so it came back to my thoughts about what my brother said to me on a couple of occasions, where he would say to his friends, if Liz was a man, she would be ruler of the world or dead. And that's a very deep thought for someone to have about someone else. I don't think that far with people. I just deal with people on a surface level. So, like, for example, I have a friend, and we've been friends for, I would say, close to 25 years now. And I don't know where she lives. I've never been to her house. She's visited me a few times. Just sort of like we're meeting up because we're going to go somewhere or something like that. Or she just dropped in for something specific. But I've never been to her house. But it's no big deal. The people I tend to get on with best of all are the ones who are so independent that they don't need to be joined to your hip, or you to theirs. So I tend to, I'm not into like the community thing. I'm an individual, and I like to live in an individualistic kind of way. So this thought came back to me, either dead or ruler of the world. So my mother kept saying, "Why are you like that? You're different." But every time I have conversations with people who can't get where they want to get with me, they always say, "Why are you like that? You're different." I don't mind being different, and I don't mind being like I am. But obviously, it's one of those things where it doesn't always suit people. But I work on the principle that if you want to be in my life, then, as I've said in other videos, you have to follow my march to my tune, for want of a better term. Not that you have to, but if my rules apply, my rules always apply, and they apply because I don't need to be around anyone. And I would say I'm not a selfish person. I don't demand anything of anybody. I just get on with my life. I live my life. I do what I need to do. But as you see, I'm a busy person. I'm just about to start. Well, it's something that I'm working on that I want to finish tonight. I don't know what time I'm going to go to bed, but I will get it done because it's a task that I've set myself. So if you like, I've given the the majority of my time today to my mother and as well to visiting my sister. But there are 24 hours in the day, and there are how many hours left? 4. So we roll over into the next morning. But I will still be able to get everything done, and I have perfect peace. The thought about being ruler of the world, when my brother said that, what occurred to me was there are more than one world. There's a spirit world, and there's the physical world. And for me, I would argue that I'm a ruler of, I'm not going to say ruler of anybody else's world, but all right, if you wanted to battle with me on a spiritual level, you better be properly armed, because I would always back myself. And it is as a consequence of what you are spiritually, that is how you fare in the physical world. So I tend to get what I want. So for example, all day with everybody, including my mother, that I've had conversations with, people, they've said to me, because I live by myself, but what if something happens? What if? You can't be like that. But the thing is, I am like that, and I keep referring them back to my health. I've got perfect health. There's nothing wrong with me. But you never know. I've organized my life in such a way that I do know. And as I've said before, I know in whom I put my trust. Someone said to me today, with regards to my sister, because I said she doesn't need to be in the hospital, and I could have told them that because they've done all the tests and they found nothing wrong with her. And I could say to them that the thing she's got, she will get better just by resting. It's something that will work itself out of her system. But I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, so leave it to the experts. With regards to my life, I don't look to experts. The only expert I look to is God, and whatever inspiration I need to make things right, or just to make things work in my life, I look to God for that. I don't look to man, I always look to God. So in real terms, the thoughts, this is how my inspiration comes. Going back to what my brother said, she'd either be a ruler of the world or dead. I'm not going to be dead anytime soon, right? I expect I'm going to have a very long life. But, and again, people say, you can't say that. I don't live in fear. There are certain, I don't relate to people. The more I live, the more I fail to relate to people on a daily basis. And so more often than not nowadays, when people are speaking to me, it just goes in and out. I don't take anything on board. I mostly smile within myself at what they try to put on me, because I hear it all the time. I've been hearing it since I was in my 20s and my 30s and my 40s and now in my 50s. It's the same thing being rehashed all the time. And so it's the old saying, seeing is believing. Seeing isn't believing, because it doesn't matter how you present yourself and what evidence you provide to people to say, look, here we are, I'm now in my 50s, and I've been saying the same thing from I was in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, and I'm still sticking to it, and it's still working. It doesn't matter, because people are going to come up with an excuse. One of the excuses that people sometimes come up with is, oh, but you're lucky. It's always luck. There's always luck involved. When they can't pin it down to anything, they put it down to luck, rather than that it's advanced planning. You live your life in such a way that you consider the consequences in the long term, and then in the long term you reap the benefits. People don't look at it in that way. They always come back to luck. It's always, as a last resort, luck. So I've had a fantastic day. I've managed to get everything that I needed to do done, and as well, nobody pulled me from my path. Whatever I was in my mind to do, I managed to achieve. I stuck to my guns. Another person was saying to me about, how do you manage to get into the hospital? They're not letting people in, this, that, the other. When I speak to people, again, it will seem like I'm really arrogant and like I'm so full of myself. You know, what, you think whatever you like, but like I said, I live in a certain way, and my way works. It's a higher level. It's a spiritual level. And you know, sometimes when I'm walking around and I see people, I can feel their essence. I can feel the level they're at. And it's not, as I keep saying, I'm not putting myself above anybody. It's a bit like if you put me to play tennis against Serena Williams, she's going to beat me. That's reality, because she's got a track record. She's better at tennis than I can ever be. I don't have any trophies. I might be an enthusiast, but I've never won anything. So in the same way, if you have more, um, if you've lived a more spiritual life, or if you've lived, well, I've never done normal. I've said this before. I have never done normal. I've always tried to find the correct path, and the correct path doesn't always mean the path that makes you happiest. It can be the path that is most difficult, but in the end, the rewards that you get bring you peace. It sort of puts you in a situation where things are happening in the world, and you're not worried, you're not feeling it, it's not affecting you. Nothing that's going on is so, you know, all the troubles in the world. So it's like I go out there and I see people wall to wall wearing masks. Prior to the mask, it was I'd go to the gym at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm leaving say 9, and I'm seeing people rushing this way and that to catch a train, the bus, the tram, all going to work. And sometimes I would think, if I stop one of these people and say, why are you rushing, they wouldn't be able to tell me. So, but with my life is purposeful. Everything I do, I've put thought into it. And you know, so I don't overthink. It's just I think, right, I'm going to, so for example, this morning I got up and I cooked first thing in the morning, because I knew that later on in the day, before I go to the hospital, I would need to eat. So the food was ready, and there wasn't any coming back and having to fuss about making something. It was literally just heat something up, and when it was time to leave to catch that bus to get me to the hospital for 6 o'clock, leave. So, you know, I've had a fantastic day. I didn't sort of meet with any kind of I didn't encounter anyone who acted in a kind of negative way spiritually, because that's the other thing. You know, you want to talk about ruler of the world, you talk about your world. The level of it's your energy that draws people to you, and drives people away from you. So, I mean, there are people who won't. Some people, they will wander around. Say for example, racism. There are people who swear blind that Britain is a racist country. All they meet is racism. I don't meet that. I don't experience that, and I put it down to the energy that I've got. You can literally drive people away from you. People with the wrong kind of energy will not bring their rubbish to your door, depending on how you know, the energy that you're letting off. I mean, I don't know if I have enough time here to explain it, or if you understand anything that I've said um, thus far. But it's just something that you can't just sort of get up one morning and decide, I'm going to be this person. It's something you've got to build yourself in the same way. You wouldn't say, right, I want to live in a mansion, and in the morning you sort of get up and behold, there's a mansion there. That doesn't mean you have to build it. So in the same way, you've got to build yourself in such a way. And if you think I've been doing this from I was a child, really, teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and I would say now I'm actually seeing where I don't need to do anything. I literally just have to just go out and switch my energy on, as you would switch the light on, and the world is a brighter place. Um, like I said, I don't know how this is coming across with you, whoever's sitting there listening to what I'm saying, but whatever life you want, you can have it, but it takes effort. You've got to put the effort in. And like I said, all I'm hearing today, and it was just going right through me, and I'm just smiling within myself because I've heard it all before. People living a lesser life, but like I said, I don't say that in as though I'm better than other people. I'm saying in the same way I can say categorically that Serena Williams is a better tennis player than me. I mean it exactly like that. If you've put more effort into building your life a certain way, on a, say for example, spiritually, or even if you go to the gym and you know you've got bigger muscles and you're stronger and you're faster and you're fitter, that's the effort that you've put in. So whatever effort you put in, you get back, for better or worse. So I guess just to conclude, today I learned a lot, just being around other people, and like I said, being around my mother after 10 years of not having contact. For me, there's no hard feelings or anything, and it was very easy to pick back up because I don't, again, it's to do with the development where you don't, I don't sort of feel intimidated or nervous or anxious and think, oh my gosh, I've not seen her, what's it going to be like, what's she going to say to me, what am I going to say to her. I take charge. Whatever situation I find myself in, I take charge of it so that it becomes a situation that I want it to be. So that's it. I'm not going to be ruler of the world because I don't have the aspiration, but I am 100% the ruler of my own world, and that's the only rulership that I want. And on that note, I'm off to work. See you guys later.